Okay, good morning, everyone, and Chazak. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Thursday morning. My friends. As we are studying together Perashat Shofetim. A Shofet means a judge. Shofetim veShoterim titen lecha bechol she'arecha. There is a mitzvah. The beginning of our Perashat tells us that we have a commandment to have in every city, in every area, there has to be a judge, Shofetim. There also has to be Shoterim. There have to be officers, people that enforce the rulings of the court. There is a very famous pasuk in the middle of our parasha that I want to talk about today. Of course, with the lens of the Ora Hayim HaKadosh. We are studying together Perashat Shofetim, chapter 18, pasuk 13. And it's a very short pasuk, 5 words, but it's a very deep pasuk. The pasuk says, Tamim tihiyeh Im Adonai Elohecha. That's the pasuk. What does it mean? It's only 5 words, but it's such a deep, such an amazing pasuk. Tamim tihiyeh im Hashem Elokecha. You have to be tamim with God. What does that mean to be tamim? Where do we find that word, tamim? We find it by Yaakov. Yaakov ish tam yoshev ohalim. What does that mean to be tam? Tamim. The simple way of translating the word tamim is from the word tam, to complete, to be shalim, right? When we finish a book, we say tamu, we finish. Tamim means to be complete with God, to be whole with Hashem. But what does that mean, to be whole with Hashem? So there's a famous Al-Shich HaKadosh, and he notices, why does it say to be tamim im? Why doesn't it say to be tamim lifnei? It should have said be complete in front of God. What does it mean to be complete with God? So he says it means that you have to be complete even when no one's there, even when no one's watching. Tocho kebaro. Being complete in life, being whole, it's hard. It's hard to be tamim. It's hard to always live whole, proper, honest, polite, kind. It's hard. Right? You get annoyed. We yell at the wife. We get fed up with the kids. We're not always on our best behavior. Sometimes, things happen. So the pasuk's telling you how. Im Hashem Elokecha. Realize that you're with Hashem. Im means with. So the idea of here is when a person understands that they're with Hashem, then God's right here. When God's here, if a person always had that in front of him, then Hashem is looking at him. Today people, they realize there's cameras. They got to be careful. Whatever they do, there's people watching. They could get caught. Judaism taught that there's a camera from the beginning of time. Right? There's an ayin ro'ah, the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avot. The person has to remember there's an eye watching. Jews, we always understood that there's a camera. The camera of Hashem. And I have to always be careful. David HaMelech reminds us, Shiviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. I have to have God in front of me always. At every stage of life, I have to always imagine and remember that God is in front of me. The famous story is told of Rav Levi Yitzchak of Bardichev, that he was once in a wagon, and the wagon driver, he didn't know it was a rabbi. So the wagon driver, as they're passing by a field, he realizes that there's some vegetables on the side that no one's watching. So he says, easy way to steal. So the wagon driver tells the rabbi, he says, I'm going to go down and get some of the vegetables. If you see anyone coming, let me know. He goes down, and as he starts picking up the vegetables, the rabbi says, they're watching. He quickly drops the vegetables, he runs back in the wagon, and as they're galloping away, he turns around, but he finds that there's nobody in sight. And he says to the fellow in the back, he says to the rabbi, he says, why'd you tell me they're watching? Why'd you tell me there was people there? There's no one here. And the rabbi smiled and he said, they're watching. So a person has to always remember, tamim tihiyeh im. Hashem's here. When a person understands that, and a person remembers that, then he's able to live the right way. There's no room that we could run away from God. There's no door. There's no air. And that's what we're going to say on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur when we ask for forgiveness. Hashem, you know everything. You know what I did. You know what I thought. You know what's in my heart. You know what's in my mind. When a person remembers that, when a person remembers that he's with Hashem, that he's able to stay away from the wrong things. When a person remembers that he's with Hashem, by the way, he's also able to have the confidence to do the right things. He remembers that Hashem's with me. I don't have to be scared. I don't have to be scared of failure. Hashem's on my side. When you have someone backing you, and he's a powerful person, if you're in a company, you want to make change, but you're hesitant because there's a president, there's a board. But if you knew that the guy on top is on your side, no matter what you do, he wants you to win. He's voting for you. You have his vote. You have his support. When a person remembers that I have the support, it's easy. I can do anything I want. I'm invincible. When a person understands he has Hashem, he can do anything in life. I'm a winner. And we have to realize that when we walk, to walk with pride, to walk with confidence, to know what I want to do. If I'm dating somebody, be nervous. Hashem wants me to get married. He's going to give me charm. He's going to give me chen. I got this. Person wants to go and maybe start a class. Maybe it's not so popular. Hashem's with me. I could do it. Tamim tihye im Hashem Elokecha. That is how the pasuk, some explain it. But today, like I said, I want to read it with the lens of the Or HaHayim HaKadosh. The Or HaHayim says to understand the pasuk, all your Dvar Torahs are nice and cute and everything. But if you really want to understand, you have to read it in context. So let's read the pasuk in context. This is pasuk 13. But let's go back to the beginning of the concepts. He says over here, the beginning of the paragraph, pasuk 9, says as follows. The beginning of the subject, it says as follows. Ki ata ba'el haaretz. When you come to the land, asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach, that God's going to give you. Lo tilmad la'asot ketoavot hagoyim ahem. Do not do like the goyim around you. Lo yimatzeh becha ma'avir beno beto ba'esh. Do not pass your children through fire. The Kenaanim used to do this. This is called molech, avodah zarah, passing a child through fire. God says, don't do like the goyim around you. Koseh muksamim. Don't go to divination practitioners. Me'onen, people who are astrology. Menahesh, omens. Mechashef, sorcery. You're not allowed to go to these people. You know, people today, it's very popular. Palm readers and fortune tellers. You know, go to a guy who could read your future, the stars, tell you what's going to happen. Famous story brought down in the Midrash. The Midrash tells us that Shlomo HaMelech, the wisest of all men, he knew how to understand the language of trees, of birds. He understood everything. Shlomo HaMelech was very smart. And the whole universe is communicating with each other. You should know when you hear the geese, now they're flying back south. Right? When you hear them doing that sound, they're communicating with each other. Shlomo was able to understand what they're saying. You know? What are they saying? Oh, wow, look at that big house down there. Oh my God, look at that pool, right? I don't know what they're saying. But whatever they're saying, Shlomo HaMelech heard them. A man once came to Shlomo and he said, I want you to teach me the language of birds. Shlomo said, listen, it's not a good idea. I don't suggest it. Birds, we know, they know the future. They have the winning lottery numbers a day before the lottery is picked. That's how, Hashem, the system is, whatever is going to happen, the decree that Hashem, decrees in the heavens, there's a filtration system in which it trickles down to planet Earth. When Hashem announces something's going to happen in the heavens, it takes a few days for it to get down here. It goes through a few filters. It has to go through, right, 7 worlds, if you will. A simple way of understanding the concept is that when Hashem decides He wants to do something, He waits. He allows it to go slowly. Instead of happening the calamity right away, He's patient. So I have some time to pray to remove the calamity. But that's what it is. When there's a decree in the heavens, that decree slowly starts taking shape into this world until it reaches all the way down here, and then God forbid something bad happens. That's what we say, by the way, on the high holidays. Le'olam Adonai devarecha nitzav bashamayim. What does that mean? So simply it means, God, whatever you want is nitzav. It's secure. Whatever you want to happen is nitzav. It's permanent. God, you are in charge. But a deeper meaning is devarecha, God, if there's, God forbid, a dibur, a negative decree, keep it in bashamayim, keep it in the heavens. Don't let it come down through the 7 worlds down here. So when Hashem is going to bring something into the world, that's how the stars, they know it before us. Because it goes through the heavens, right? So it goes down to the stars. And then the birds receive the information next, because they're also in the sky. And then after the birds get it, then it finally happens. So if you could understand the language of birds, you have inside information. You're privy one day early, so you know what's going to happen. So this guy wanted to learn the language of birds. So he went to Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech says, listen, I don't recommend this. But he pushed and pushed and pushed. So he said, okay. So the Midrash tells us the story, what happened. The first day after he finished learning the language of birds, the fellow went out into the street and he heard birds talking. So he decided to zoom in. So he put his ear and he paid attention to what they're saying. And they said about him, they're talking about him, the birds. And they're saying about him, you see that guy right there? He's about to lose all of his sheep. They're going to die. So the guy now, he knows the future. So what does he do? He quickly takes all his sheep to the marketplace and he sells them. Discount. Everything must go. Literally, it's going to go. Right? 50% off the sheep. And he sells all his sheep, and the next day they all die. And he was spared from this calamity. The guy's like, wow, this is great. The best class I ever took. Language of birds. So the next day he went on the street again and he started to pay attention to the birds and he heard them again. They're talking about him. He's a popular guy. They say, you see that guy right there? Tomorrow his house is going to burn down. The guy's like, oh my gosh, my house. He quickly calls the real estate agents. Guys, I need to sell my house. Wow, what happened? Everything okay? No, I'm moving. Okay. He sells the house. Next day a tree falls on the house. And they didn't have insurance claim back then. If you had insurance claim, then you keep the house, of course. But they didn't have insurance claim. So anyways, he sells the house. All of a sudden, the third day, he hears the birds again. What are they saying? You see that guy? Tomorrow he's going to die. Now what do? Now the guy's stuck. What is he going to do? Sell himself? What is he going to do? So he went back to Shlomo running in panic. What do I do? Shlomo says, you see, I told you not to listen. I told you not to use it. He says, okay, but now what? Shlomo HaMelech says, you don't understand. Hashem was supposed to send you a wake-up call. Your sheep, you lose a few $1,000s, but you wake up. But you didn't wake up because you outsmarted Hashem. Then you said, okay, fine. Hashem said, I'll send him his house. It's closer to home, literally. And you outsmarted God again. You sold your home. So now you didn't wake up and now there's nothing left. The punishment's arriving. So Tamim Tiyeh, don't look into the future. Right? Says the Ora Hayim over here. You're not allowed to find out. The pasuk says, don't go to Kosem and Kesamim, Mechashef. There's different ways of seeing the future. People like to know the future. They want to know what's going to happen. What's going to happen? I just want to know. I want to avoid. Right? Pi. P stands for prepare, prevent. I want to prevent. I want to know so I can prevent. I want to plan accordingly. We like to see the weather report. What's going to be the weather tomorrow? Projected weather. If it's a hurricane, you got to buy batteries, flashlights, water bottles. You got to prepare. So in life, people want to be prepared for calamity. So says the Or HaHaim, if that's the context. So now I'll read the pasuk again. Tamim tihiyeh im Adonai Elohecha. Perush. Let's read what he says. Lefi shetiva alav besamuch. Since the Torah just above commanded that every Jew lebal ye'onen ve'yechashef, that a Jew should not engage in astrology or sorcery. Ulbal yish'al be'ov, he cannot go to a sorcerer, to the ov. There's different ways of finding out the future. Okay? The lady that charges you $50 to read your palm, okay? Probably a waste of money. She doesn't know, right? A lot of these people, they're saying such neutral things. I see you have a big change happen to you lately. Wow, how did you know that? You're under a lot of stress. Psh, Gaon, she's a genius, right? They say neutral things, and they convince you to think that they know everything. Anyways, but the pasuk says, don't go to these people. So says the Or HaHaim, look what he says. Klum, ta'am, kol devarim hu lada'at ha'atidot. Why do you go to these people? Why do you go to the sorcerer? Why do you go to the guy who turns the coffee upside down to tell you what's going to happen next week? Why are you going to him? You know why? Because you want to know the future. Why? Lehitnaheg al asher yoru, so that you could act according to what the future tellers will predict. Ultaken haisron ka'asher yuchal la'asot, so that you could adjust for whatever mishap is going to come your way. Right? That's why you're going. So says the Or HaHaim. So you know what the answer is? How do I if I don't know the future, how am I going to prevent? Answer, Tamim tihiyeh. Says the Or HaHaim, Im tihiyeh, Im Hashem Elokecha. Im means with. If you're going to be with Hashem, if you're going to follow God, if you're going to follow the Torah, Tamim tihiyeh, you will be whole, you will be complete. Lo yahsar lecha davar, nothing will be missing. Ve'en ma sheyagid hamazal alecha titkayem lera'ah, and nothing bad that the sign or the zodiac says about you will be fulfilled. Says the Or HaHaim, you're worried about the future, but don't forget, you're above the future. You're above the mazal. Tamim tihiyeh, you could be whole im Hashem Elokecha, if you're with God. Because when a Jew studies the Torah, when a Jew follows the mitzvot, when a Jew does what he has to, he doesn't have to worry about what the future is going to say. We don't need to know the future because, my friends, we control the future. That's what the Or HaHaim is saying. What a brilliant idea. What a deep concept. It's something that we've studied in the past. We studied this idea that, yes, there is mazal. Yes, there is something that you were born with in your cards, but you determine how your story ends. You decide. When a person does the right thing, they are above the mazal. They could change the mazal. Says the Or HaHaim, V'zelecha ha'od, don't forget, my friends, Avraham Avinu. Avraham had in his stars that he can't have children. That was he had bad luck on him. That was in his cards. A lot of times we feel like we have in our destiny, I'm destined for failure. I'm destined for, right? Bad things are always happening to me, Rabbi. Right? I can't catch a break. Every investment I go into goes south. Some people feel like that whatever they do, whatever they touch turns to lemon. But says the Or HaHaim, that's what Avraham was. Avraham was not supposed to have kids. He says, God, I can't have kids. I know you're blessing me with kids. Thank you, Hashem. I appreciate the bracha, but I just can't have them because it's in my stars. Look, I see it. But Hashem said, Rohi, Avraham, you're above the stars. You're better than that. You're more than that. Halech lifanai. God says, walk in front of me. Because he had a close relationship with Hashem. And what ended up happening? He ended up having children. Avraham said, God says, don't worry about your name. His name was Avram. Avram is numerically 243. God changed it to Avraham, added the hay, 248. The 5 limbs that are missing for reproduction, I'll give you those. Hey, I changed your name. Here you go. You can have children now. That's the gift. That's what it means, Tamim Tihiyeh. Avraham was missing organs, but now he became Tamim. Avraham became complete because of Im Hashem Elokecha, because he was with God. When a person's with God, they don't need to know the future. Future don't matter. You're in charge of the future. It could say the worst thing about you, but don't worry about it, because you are in control of your destiny. Bereshit bara Elokim. Hashem creates the beginning, but it's upon us, it's on man to make sure that the end is the way we want it to be. We can't always control how our story begins, but we can definitely decide how our story will end. That's up to us. So therefore, Tamim Tihiyeh Im Hashem Elokecha. Be complete if you're with God. And therefore, don't worry about what the future sayers say. Don't worry about all these other people. Because the goyim, that's the next pasuk. Ki hagoyim ha'ele asher ata yoresh otam. All these goyim, they need to worry. Il me'onenim ve'il kesemim. They go to the future, tell us, because they don't have any other way to prevent it. But you have the keys to your own life. You have the keys to your own future. And this is our parasha, my friends. This is our parasha. We have another year coming up. The month of Elul is a time to prepare. This month that we're in today, Elul is here. Elul is a time to figure out, what are we going to do with our lives? What are we going to do to shape our upcoming year? If we maximize this month, if we grab this month, if we take the opportunities that this month presents, Elul is a time that we open up our resolutions that we made 11 months ago. The ones that we put in our Mahzor for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, that we promised. We're going to start saying brachot. We're going to start praying every day. We're going to stop doing that. We're going to start doing this. All those resolutions, pull them out. Read them again. Time to renew our vows. It's time to recommit ourselves to the promises that we made. Because the upcoming year, it's in our hands. The year is up to us. It's crazy how much power God entrusts into us. It's in our hands. He leaves it into our hands. What does next year look like? What does next year look like? The whole year is decided on Rosh Hashanah. Mi yihyeh mi yamut, who will live and who will die, poverty and wealth, all decided on Rosh Hashanah. And we decide what that will look like. It's in our hands. We have the keys. We grab Elul, we grab the month, we grab this time. Elul is here. You know what Elul stands for, right? Ani le'uman ve'ishti levad. I go to Uman and my wife's alone. Chas v'shalom. Chas v'shalom. Okay, fine. But that's it. You like that one, right? That's what Elul, right? We're here. Elul is a time to prepare. Time to introspect. Time to spy. That's what Elul means, to spy on our lives. How are we doing? How's my marriage? How's my children? How's my relationship? How's my tefillah? How's my tzedakah? Am I doing what I'm supposed to? Am I giving what I'm supposed to? Am I talking the way I'm supposed to? Am I eating what I'm supposed to? Am I acting how I'm supposed to? All the supposed tos. This is a time of Elul. It's a time, this is it. We got to step it up. We just started this morning Selichot. Adon Selichot. Opportunity. Hashem's giving us a gift to decide this month to step it up, to be on our best behavior, and to say, God, I want next year to look like X, Y, and Z. Don't worry about what the future looks like. You decide what it looks like. That's what the Orah Hayim is saying today. When we're with Hashem, then Tamim, Be'ezrat Hashem, our next year will be a complete year. It'll be a complete year for us. It'll be a complete year for all of Am Yisrael. But that's right now. That's up to us today to step it up. And I'll end with this beautiful thought. I think it's beautiful. The pasuk tells us in this week's parasha as well about making a king. It says that a king has to be careful. A king cannot have too many wives. He cannot have too many horses. Cannot have too much money. The king, because he's in power, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So the king who's in power, we don't want him to become a corrupt king. Unfortunately, you see it a lot of times. Nathan Sharansky, he said the difference between me and other politicians is that I went to jail before I went into politics. Okay? Unfortunately, you see a lot of times people go into politics and they become corrupt. They become powerful and they become corrupt. We have to make sure that our leaders don't become corrupt. There has to be checks and balances. So the king, God says, stay humble. Don't have too much money, king. Have not one but two Sifrei Torah with you. Im Hashem Elokecha. Remember, God's watching. So this is hopefully going to keep the king in check. And the pasuk says, Vehaya keshivto al kiseh mamlachto. And it shall be that as he's sitting, he should do X, Y, and Z. What does it mean as he's sitting? It should have said beshivto, when he's sitting. What's ke? Our rabbis tell us like this. Ke means as if he's sitting. A king should always feel as if he's sitting. A person should never feel like they've got it in the bag, like they're beshivto. You know, a lot of times you see people when they need you, politicians, when they need your votes, they promise you everything. All of a sudden their policies are the best policies. All of a sudden they're for this and they're against that when they need your vote. Just a month ago they did the opposite. But now they need your vote and they know how to talk. And then the second they win, they know where to be found and their policies are in the garbage. That's life. And we shouldn't think it's only politicians. We're all like that. When we need to win somebody over, we're very nice, we're smiling. And then when we get them to give us what we want, that's it. We're nowhere to be found. Husband and wife could also have this problem. A guy needs his wife. He knows how to be present. He doesn't need her. See you later. Right? This is human nature. When we need somebody, when we're in need of help, financial or whatever it is, we're very nice. We come to shul. We need Hashem. We know how to come to Hashem. We know how to be honest. We're praying. We're talking nicely. Hashem, tzedakah. And all of a sudden, something happens. We make some money. We become powerful. And we drop it all. We forget all about Hashem. That's human nature. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. How many promises did we make? Hashem, I'm going to do this. I promise this year. I need your vote, Hashem. And the second we get his vote, we forget. Yeah, it's not only politicians. It's all of us. We want to get married. We're very nice. We best behavior. We get married. We got the girl. We got the guy. And then all of a sudden the true colors come out and we don't work on ourselves. So Elul is the last month of the year. Elul is a time to show Hashem that my promises last year weren't on empty. And this is a month to try to maximize those promises. It's a month that we step it up. It's a month that we show, I'm ready, I want to do. Look, God, I know I can do it for 1 month. Here I am. I know I said it last year, but here, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you. I'm good on my promises that I made. Our rabbis tell us, Notnin lebtula yud bet chodesh, that we give a betula is a virgin. When a lady is a virgin, never married before, when she gets married, we give her 12 months to prepare. If she was already married before, she doesn't need so much time, we give her less time. But that's what the Rabbi Mishnah says. A betula gets 12 months. But our rabbis read in this Mishnah something deeper. Betulah is also the zodiac of the month of Elul. Anyone's birthday now? What's your horoscope? Virgo, right? Virgo, from Betulah, virgin. So our rabbis tell us that a person that takes advantage of Virgo, a person that takes advantage of the month of Elul, we give the Betulah, we give that person who took advantage of Betulah, we give them Yud Bet Chodesh. Be'ezat Hashem, he lives for the next 12 months. Hashem will give him 12 months of life. So this is the opportunity that we have. Elul is here, my friends. We should be zocheh, all of us, to step up, to show up, to selichot, to learning, to praying, to giving, tefillah, teshuvah, tzedakah, to all of the above, to better our ben adam makom, to better our ben adam lachavero, to remember that this month we're on camera, and if we maximize the month of Virgo, of Betulah, Be'ezat Hashem will receive Yud Bet Chodesh, 12 more months of life, and for us and all of Am Yisrael. We'll stop over here, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.